I looked in the mirror and I shuddered. I really was pretty appalled by what had become of me, but I never ever had a doubt that I would rebound and not only get back to normalcy, but get back to vibrancy because yay, I'm a fitness expert. I knew exactly how. And I had this perfect little plan laid out where I would baby step myself forward with strength and cardio and flexibility and balance and make tiny bits of progress and never have a setback. And then my mental game is hardcore too. And so I did get all the way back to normal.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest is the founder of the movement that is Fitzness. She is someone who has stared death in the face and spit in her eye. She is the one, the only, the legendary Fitz Koehler. Welcome to the show, Fitz.
Well, thank you for the big fat introduction, Nikki. Nice to be here.
Good to have you. So, Fitz, tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Fitz Koehler?
Yes. How did I get to be so noisy and bossy? I do a variety of things. I'm a fitness pro and I teach on a mass scale. So most everything I do is via mass media, TV, radio, books, magazines, online content, corporate presentations, keynote speeches, things like that. Anything to get to a large amount of people and bully them into taking great care of themselves. I'm also a professional race announcer and the author of the Cancer Comeback series and another book. And how did I get here? I started teaching fitness right before I turned 15, fell in love with it, had a few opportunities to teach around the globe, teach on television, and just fell in love with the art of connecting with people and helping them live better and longer. It's magical to see people, to see their lives change when they start acting on their own behalf, whether it's weight loss or gaining strength or working on balance, but to see people proud of themselves, to see people energized to take on new challenges and new careers and new loves. And, everything in your world will improve if you take care of the fundamentals. And so I'm so fortunate. I love what I do. And yeah, retirement's a dirty word to me. I'm just so pleased to be where I am and helping the people that I help.
Good for you and God bless you. So walk us through your journey. I mean, cancer. What happened?
Yeah, so it's interesting that's the thing, right? People look at someone like me. I'm not only a fitness pro, but I walk the walk. I'm a vegetarian. I do all the exercise. I never smoke. Boy, did I drank like a sailor in college. I went to UF. I was a Gator. So that could be a weak spot for me because alcohol makes you certainly more prone to cancer. But in late 2018, I went in for a standard mammogram and I walked out with a clean bill of health. My scan was crystal clear. There was nothing there. And then about 6 weeks later, I was at a race weekend where I was running a race. And I got out of the shower and I rubbed my underboob, naked, just standing there, rubbed my underboob, and I found a grape-sized lump. And it turns out that I had breast cancer and it already, in 6 weeks, had already spread through my lymph nodes. And so within a few appointments and scans and biopsies and so forth, I had a surgeon call and say, I'm so sorry, but you do have breast cancer. It's running through you like wildfire. And we need to treat you urgently and aggressively. And so they did. I had about 15 months of chemo and intertwined 33 rounds of radiation and some surgery. And it was hellacious. It was brutal. I feel like I got dragged behind a horse for 15 months. However, I made some incredible decisions that were so beneficial to me. And I learned so many things. I mean, I'm certainly not that person who says, oh, thanks, cancer. It makes me better. I'm glad I had cancer. Because some people say that and I think you're effing nuts. you have lost your mind to be grateful to have had cancer. However, I would be derelict if I didn't acknowledge there were some wins with my mental status and my physical capabilities and my life overall. So now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm taking those lessons learned and terrorizing the world, going out to do big things that make me happy. And I'm no holds barred on that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's incredible that you caught it and you beat it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen, if I hadn't rubbed my underboob and I had waited till the next mammogram, I'd be dead. There's no chance I would have survived. At the rapid pace it was running through me, I think I found my lump in February. By June, it would have hit my brain. It would have hit my lungs. I would have started coughing. I would have started with headaches. There's no way I would have survived had I not found that lump. Very fortunate.
Do you believe? Are you a believer?
I'm not a disbeliever, but I don't have deep faith. I have questions. I'm agnostic, certainly not atheist.
It strikes me as though you were spared for a bigger purpose.
Perhaps that's a nice way to think. Perhaps. Although this is where I have a problem with thinking any magical being targeted me and said, yeah, let's keep her. Is I live a few miles away from a University of Florida hospitals, and there's a pediatric cancer unit, and there's all sorts of babies with cancer, and those babies will die. And there's just no way in hell I can imagine I was chosen over these beautiful babies. I also never have think, why me? I never have had the pity party because of those babies. So I would never place myself above them. I just think they exist. So why not me? Why not me with cancer, right?
You know, a lot of people in this day and age don't even take care of their health properly. I think
right.
I followed Robert Kennedy Jr., right? For the last little while. He's 70 years old. He's a beast. You look at him online, you know, he takes his shirt off, man. He looks pretty good. He looks pretty good for a 70-year-old man. And he's spoken eloquently about how when his uncle was president, one of every 35,000 Americans had autism. Now it's like one out of every 33, right?
It's disturbing.
It is disturbing. And most people today aren't even really thinking about, how do I maximize my health? How do I take my health to another level? You think about that a great deal. You go out there and you teach it, and you had a big honking challenge in the form of cancer come and try to knock you off course, but you beat it. I got to believe there's something divine in that. I got to believe there's something special in you being chosen to discover this early enough that you could do something about it and you could overcome it.
Well, I do appreciate that. And, you know, sometimes people look at me and they say, well, if Fitz Koehler had cancer, what does it matter if I eat all the beef and smoke all the cigarettes? I'm going to get it too. And the reality is, yeah, I did get cancer. And the RFK thing, he's onto something there. I don't know if he's accurate with 100% of his statements or guesses. His I'm losing words, right? We know where I'm going with that, but he's onto something. So in America, breast cancer is 1 in 8 women. 1 in 8 American women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. In Asia, 1 in 40 will be diagnosed. If you take an Asian woman out of Japan and you move her to America, within a short time, her chances of having breast cancer go into that 1 in 8 pile. So it's something within the environment or something within nutrition, right? However, so there's the why me thing. Perhaps there was a chemical in my food or in my environment, and I'm guessing that probably is why I ended up with cancer. However, my fitness habits certainly paid off, and I got about 5-6 months into my treatment, and the first 6 months of my treatment were absolutely nightmarish. I was living with, let's say, a violent stomach bug or a tequila hangover, whatever you want to call it. That was me. And I went in for neem chemo number 6, and my oncologist was saying, Fitz, I'm so proud of you. You've been doing great. And I was sitting there bald with no lashes, where my fingernails had ripped off and my insides had been through a cheese grater, and I was losing weight. And I said, Dr. Gordon, I'm a catastrophe. Why would you suggest that I'm doing great? I'm a mess. He goes, Fitz, I'm not saying you haven't suffered. You've really suffered. However, he said, I've given you the meanest drugs I give any cancer patient. The meanest drugs, he said, and many people are hospitalized for a month. Many people have a feeding tube with these drugs. He said, you haven't had any of that. I mean, I did spend one night in the hospital, but he said, you have been traveling around the country, announcing your races, doing your keynotes, doing all these kind of things. If it weren't for your commitment to fitness and nutrition coming into this and through it, there's no way you would have been able to keep up with your professional schedule and all the other things you want to do. So yes, you've suffered, but your fitness has paid off big time. And so that was a real light bulb moment where I thought, I'm right. I'm right. Fitness really does fix your life. And then the chemo continued to wear on me. I'm very human. And so I was emaciated. I lost so much weight and I lost so much strength, and I was a little skeleton. And at that point where I hit what we would call rock bottom is I looked in the mirror and I shuddered. I really was pretty appalled by what had become of me, but I never, ever had a doubt that I would rebound and not only get back to normalcy, but get back to vibrancy, because yay, I'm a fitness expert. I knew exactly how. And I had this perfect little plan laid out where I would baby step myself forward with strength and cardio and flexibility and balance and make tiny bits of progress and never have a setback. And then my mental game is hardcore too. And so I did get all the way back to normal. And then about a year or so after finishing treatment, I ran the Boston Marathon. And, life is so big and awesome right now. It's really, fitness did pay off. So did it prevent me from being diagnosed? Maybe not. But did it carry me through and get me back to living as large as possible? Absolutely.
So what's your fitness routine like?
Well, it's probably not as crazy as people think it might be. So when I was training for Boston, certainly there was lots and lots of miles put in. My number one focus is always strength training. I believe strength training is the fountain of youth. It's a secret to remaining injury-free, being resilient, having energy. I think muscles are damn sexy. Big, strong muscles, small, lean, curvy muscles. I love strength. And so strength training is my number one focus. I do that every other day without fail, whether I'm on the road or you name it, I'm doing strength training. I also focus on my cardiorespiratory, my heart and lung capacity, because hearts and lungs are pretty damn important. And there's a pretty interesting study that someone with cancer is 72% likely to have that cancer metastasize or spread if they're doing high intensity cardio exercise. So I walk, I run, I do ballroom dancing now. I recently was in a ballroom dance competition, a Dancing with the Stars. Cool. So I do ballroom, which I love. And then I do balance training because I don't want to fall down. I don't want to fall down now. I don't want to fall down in 20 years. I watched my mother fall all over the place and it's nightmarish. So balance training. And then of course, a lot of stretching. So I stay busy. My workouts aren't insane. They're consistent and they're productive. I'm always challenging myself.
How many days a week do you train?
I would say 6. I normally take a day off to be lazy, but even on my lazy day, I'm probably walking 2 to 3 miles with my dogs, roaming through the forest with them. I have 2 doggos and they deserve it. I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old lab greyhound mix, and she still can roughhouse and play. And we do 2 to 3 miles a day for her to keep her healthy and to keep her around as long as possible. Fitness has really made her life special and long as well.
Yeah, that's pretty beautiful. Yeah, I'm a big believer in training too.
Are you a workout guy? What do you do?
Yeah, I am. I lift weights 6 days a week. I'm training for a bodybuilding competition in the summer. I did my first one this past summer, the day before my 57th birthday. And the goal is, I've got a coach. Goal is to get me to my IFBB Pro card by age 60. So that's what I'm going for right now.
That's incredible. Congratulations. I love it. And you, like Robert Kennedy, will be able to take off your shirt at 70 and the girls will go wild.
Yeah. I'm with a lovely woman who's, she's into marathons too. Like she's run 23 of them. She also has run 12 hours on a treadmill 3 times and set 3 world records for doing that for distance. And she has started doing strength training too. So she's getting herself lean and tight. She was always lean, but now she wants to get her muscles in her upper back and shoulders. That's where she's been working on, and her arms. And then she wants to get the glutes. All the ladies want to get their glutes bigger.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I'm sure my bum was fine before cancer, but when I lost all the weight, I remember turning around and probably about the same time where my mom was shouting at me, you look like you're in the Holocaust, you need to eat. But I remember turning around and catching my rear end in the mirror, and I looked like I was 90. Like I called it chemo butt. It was just flabby and flat. And I thought, bleh, I didn't want anything to do with that. So lunges and squats and squat jumps and leg press and hack squat, all of that is definitely part of my life, because I don't know, a flat, flabby fanny is just not a nicety. Nobody wants that.
No. I'm a fan of her butt right now. A big fan.
Good for you.
I've always been, but it's just getting better all the time. God bless her. So yeah, I think it's important for people to train. I think it's, if you're in business and you're not fit, you're done. Your ability to keep going is going to be cut short. There's folks in their 50s that are 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. And I'm telling you what, if they don't do something about that, they are 5 to 10 years away from a major life event, a health event that's going to irretrievably negatively impact our quality of life. And that's not a good thing.
You know, you're spot on. And it's interesting. You might be the smartest person, the most capable person, the person with the greatest resume on earth, but will you even get the opportunity to share that? If an employer looks at you and thinks, they don't look like they could keep up. They look like they're out of shape. They're probably going to call in sick a lot. They're not going to have a lot of energy. They're not going to give you the interview. They're not even going to get to your damn resume if they look at you and think, that could be a problem. But if you walk in strapping, standing up straight, shoulders back, posture is a real winner, people are drawn to that. And what do they say? First impressions are established within 7 seconds. And so they might they might never get a chance to see what's behind the curtain, how wonderful you are if your posture sucks and you're overweight, or you got bags under your eyes because you're a sleepy guy. You know, you can reverse all that with exercise, with nutrition. It's something, fitness is something absolutely 100% of us can attain. If you are obese, it's not hereditary. It's cultural. Your family taught you crap habits and you kept them. You decided, all right, I'm going to be just like them, and I'm going to keep eating all this garbage, and I'm going to skip out on the workouts, and I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to drink. Yeah, that's why you're all obese. You all have crap habits. Or you could be the first person to change your family tree. You could be the first person to start watching what you put in your mouth. You know, it's funny. People are like, well, I can't eat healthy. I have kids. Oh, really? Are those kids jacking up your jaw and shoving garbage in your mouth? And why are you buying garbage for your kids? Have a little investment in their future, because you know what sucks is outliving your kid. Your kid grows up to be a type 2 diabetic, gets their toes cut off at 35 and kicks the bucket at 40, and you watched it happen because you raised them to be unhealthy. Oh, nothing could be more punishing. Your kid has a heart attack or suffers heart disease because you taught them to have terrible habits. That's your fault. That's on you. So it really is necessary for everybody to start taking their health seriously today. You don't have to be perfect. You never have to be perfect. But should you move the needle forward 1% every single day moving forward? Yes, it's good for you and it's good for the people you love.
Amen. 100% agree. 100% agree. And frankly, if you're a business person, it's good for you in business. It'll make you better able to perform because you're going to have more energy, more stamina.
Yeah.
And people who work out are smarter. The dumb jock theory is a flawed theory.
Right.
It's actually the brilliant jock theory. The more you exercise, the better your brain works. And that's been proven by science.
Absolutely. And one of the things that most CEOs have in common are morning workouts. They start each day with some exercise, whether it's a walk or a swim or some weightlifting or yoga. Most CEOs start their day with exercise.
And they should. Honestly, they should. If they don't do that, it's a bad idea. It's a terrible idea if they don't do that. Exercise is a game changer for everybody. Absolutely everybody.
Yeah, the other thing for your listeners, I'm sure some of them might be rolling their eyes thinking, oh, Nikki, oh, Fitz, I'm not into lifting. Okay, listen to this. You should prepare your body today to do battle because you never know when injury or illness will strike. That's right. So for me, it was cancer. Surprise, out of the blue. I didn't plan on it. It just showed up in my boob and I went, okay, dealing with this now. Or you get struck by lightning, you get hit by the bus, or I don't know, you trip and you fall. And if you are healthy and fit going into that crisis, you will recover and rebound so much more efficiently and effectively if you are healthy going in. But if you're kind of wimpy and sick when you get hit by the bus or when you're diagnosed with cancer or heart disease or ALS, whatever it is, you're starting way back. You just moved your start line miles back from everybody else. And, you know, if you're going to go into battle, would you rather go into battle as Mick Jagger or John Cena? I'm going John Cena every freaking day.
100%. 100%. Although Mick's in pretty good shape for a dude his age. No question.
Yeah. But still, hit either one of them with even a motorcycle and see who gets up first.
Yeah, no, amen. So let's talk about nutrition. You're a vegetarian.
Yeah,
I'm a carnivore. So talk to me. Why are you a vegetarian?
Purely because I love animals. I have so many friends that are cows and chicken, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was raised as an ultimate carnivore, having beef and pork and veal. I'm so sorry for eating those baby cows, right? But yeah, I just love animals. Now, there is certainly a healthy way to be a carnivore, but there are also some caveats in there where, you know, beef, red meats, it's a stage, I think it's a class 2B carcinogen. So you're far more likely to have digestive cancers if you are a red meat consumer. So we all make choices. I'm certainly not someone that's going to lean in and poke you in the chest and tell you you're a bad person if you're eating meat. It's not for me because it makes me sad. But if you are a carnivore, move forward with caution. It shouldn't be one of those things where like, I eat meat all day, rah, rah, rah. That's probably nothing to be proud of. So you can eat some meat, but maybe choose some more white meat, some fish over the red stuff, because colon cancer is not a good time, I've been told.
Well, you know, let's just say we're going to agree to disagree because I'm a fan of the carnivore lifestyle. I was a vegan for 4.5 years. At one point in my life, it didn't work for me. Eating meat has worked for me. It's been great. There's a lot of folks who passionately make the argument for carnivore, and there's a lot of folks who passionately make the argument against carnivore. All I can say is that for me, it works great to eat meat.
I mean, everybody makes their choices, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I just had a cardiologist, chief of cardiology at the community hospital in Monterey Peninsula in Monterey, California. Gosh, how does his name just fall out of my head? I'm so embarrassed. Doctor. Anyways, my podcast is The Fitzness Show. So I have this doctor on my show, and he was obese. And then he started learning all the things a cardiologist learns, and he went plant-based. And so he's lost hundreds of pounds, and now he runs marathons. But one of the things he said is, you can't, he said all cardiac deaths, or almost all cardiac deaths, would be removed if people went plant-based. And he also says one of the most important things that he could see for men is, he calls it save the schlongs, that most erectile dysfunction is just a matter of high cholesterol. And that's a vein, right? So you get high cholesterol clogged up in your wang. And then when his patients come in with heart issues, they also happen to have erectile dysfunction. They don't know it's correlated. And when he puts people plant-based, they're all of a sudden Mr. Happy comes back to life. And so there are certainly some wonderful benefits of being plant-based. Now, I don't think anyone has to go cold turkey unless they have the moral issue like I do. However, if you have more plant-based meals and maybe cut back a little or change the type of meats you're eating, it may prove beneficial.
Well, I've had Dr. Sean Baker on my show, and he's the author of The Carnivore Diet. And that's all he does is he basically eats steak. And he's my age. He's 50, 57, close to 58. And he's an absolute beast. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. And I've also had Dr. Anthony Martin on my show. Yeah. And he wrote the book, Eggs, Meat, and Cheese, and Sun, Steak, Steel, and Sleep. And I've read the works of Dr. Casey Means, Good Energy, and Max Lugavera, who wrote the Genius Foods series of books. Okay. And what these folks have to say around eating meat, and it certainly has been my experience, is meat isn't the problem. It's all the extra highly processed foods and excessive consumption of carbohydrates that people have that have had them, gain all this weight and so forth. And I can speak for myself. I overate carbs. There was a point in my life, I'd been a top trainer. I got out of that. I got into business coaching. I gained over 50 pounds. And all that gain was associated with eating more carbs, all of it. As soon as I cut back on the carbs, I lost the weight. I went down 60 pounds. I went down from 227 to 167. And it's not that I don't eat carbs. I eat plenty of carbs. I eat sweet potato. I eat green beans. Right. I eat fruits and so forth. But what, the schwang factor, as you put it, I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. I was raised by a mother not to talk this way in front of a lady. I'm just, now you're making my cheeks go red. But I have found my libido has dramatically increased since I lost the weight.
Of course. Yeah.
And my woman is a very beautiful woman. She's 5'8", blonde bombshell, gorgeous. And I felt embarrassed at her being so slim and beautiful and me being so fat. That was one of the things that really motivated me to get myself into shape. But during the year and a half since, I lost the weight and I've been back to the weight range that I'm in now, I feel like I'm 20 years younger in terms of my libido.
Well, so there's a few things, and congratulations. That's exciting and wonderful for you and your blonde bombshell. So you lost weight because you cut calories, and it's true that protein is less dense in calories than crackers, for example. I think it's 9 calories for a gram of protein. I can't remember how many calories per gram of like a starchy carb, right? A processed starchy carb. And protein is more filling, right? So it's one of those things that provides satiety. So you're eating less. You cut your calories. You changed what you were eating, but if you ate as many calories with meat, you would have kept the weight on. So you didn't lose weight because you switched to meat. You switched up your consumption and cut the calories. The calories is responsible for the weight loss. And I'm so happy you read all of these books. And there's a very famous, one of probably the pioneers on the high protein, high meat, high fat diet, Dr. Adkins, who's a classic case of a pro meat guy who sold lots of books, refused to have any real studies done, and then he died of heart disease. And so caution, and anyone who's promoting any diet at all, is pretty negligent. That tells me that they want your dollars, right? So I've been offered millions of dollars throughout my 30-something year career to promote this diet, that diet, this pill, that pill. I've never once sold out to the American public or the world because I care. I care, and I care about the truth. Anyone who's hawking a diet is out for your dollar. Don't be confused. They're not out for your health. They're saying, what can I do? What can I put together that sounds good, that'll sell a lot of books, get me on a stage, and people will give me their money. I get on stages and people give me their money, and I tell them nothing but the truth. I sell 0 products. The word diet is only used on my website when we're mocking it, when we are talking down and talking about these stupid scumbag vultures in the fitness industry that are selling lies just to take your money. And they don't care what happens 30 years later or 10 years later when you drop dead of a heart attack, or if your wiener doesn't work, or if you're losing your vision from diabetes. None of those things matter to these people. So you bought a diet book, don't ever do it again.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't buy a diet book to follow the prescription, and I'm following my bodybuilding coach's advice on what to eat, how to train, how much to sleep, etc. And he is not a carnivore. He's not a low carb, high carb guy. I'm eating a classic, classic golden age of bodybuilding type of diet. You know what I mean? There's lots of protein. There's a moderate amount of carbs, and there is a moderate amount of fat. During the times where I'm about to get on stage, like when I was getting ready to get on stage, everything went down. The protein went down, but the carbs really went down. They went down a lot more than the protein. Yeah. And the fat was at practically 0. You know what I mean? He had me eat, chicken breast, and I no oil on it. I had to cook it by itself. You know what I mean? Its own juice. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, that gets old after a while, right? Just eating chicken breast. It sure as heck does. But it worked. I got lean. I got super lean. I went on stage. I was cut. It was all that good stuff. And I hear what you're saying. These guys are selling books. Not Tony Martin. Tony Martin's been a doctor who's had his own clinic. His books are honestly not, they're self-published, and he puts them out there because he strongly believes in this. I think you should meet Tony Martin. I think you'd like him. You and he would disagree on a lot, but I think you'd have a great conversation. He's a really good dude.
So here's the deal. I'm sure I would get along with him. And the way you're eating is for bodybuilding, which is very different than general population stuff. We're talking about people who just want to be healthy. But I'm not a researcher. Just let's be clear. I don't go out and do any research. I'm utilizing the research that when the NIH and so forth says asbestos is a class 1 carcinogen, I go, okay, I don't want any asbestos. Cigarettes, class 1 carcinogen. Okay, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. Red meat, class 2B carcinogen. Okay, thank you. If I'm going to have meat, I'm going to have chicken or turkey. I'm not going to go for a proven carcinogen. And some people are like, well, if it's hormone free, that's not true. It's just beef. It's a class 2B carcinogen. And so cancer isn't the only disease, but it's a real big freaking problem worldwide. There are millions and millions. I tell you what, the worst thing I see every day are people buying my books. Why are they buying my books? Because people are being diagnosed with cancer. They say, my dad has brain cancer. Can I get your healthy cancer comeback? And I say, I'm so sorry your dad has brain cancer. I hope this helps. But it's everywhere. So is diabetes. So is heart disease. And our country can't afford this issue with obesity and people learning the wrong way. I mean, if someone goes out and they eat nothing but cheese and eggs and beef, are you kidding me? We're saying that person's going to be a healthy guy? Absolutely not. They should they should be having blueberries and raspberries and broccoli and potatoes. And maybe they have some cheese. I eat cheese. I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian, right? I have some eggs, but that's not the whole gamut. I focus on the high nutrient, high fiber products and some protein. And the reality is people can only use a certain amount of protein. And once they've hit their max because they've only done so much strength training, well, that protein either gets stored as fat or used as energy. But you can only benefit from so much protein. And if you're having this at the cost of fiber and vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin D and all these other things, then you're missing out. So I'm the psychopath that really promotes eating nutritiously, right? Eating whole grains and some lean proteins, whatever you choose, and lots of fruits and vegetables, and drink your water. And then, if you want to have a couple Cheetos, fine. If you want to have a beer, fine. Maybe 80 to 90% of your intake should be quality. And you don't have to give me any money for any products. You just go to the grocery store or the farmer's market and get some nutritious stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I appreciate your point of view. My own take on this is I don't follow any one guru's point of view. I don't eat just all meat. I definitely don't eat all cheese. Cheese and I love cheese. It doesn't agree with me too well, and it's not on the bodybuilding plan. I have Greek yogurt. That's the dairy that I have on a daily basis. Zero fat Greek yogurt. But
you know what, Nikki? You're not the person. You're not the person I'm preaching to right now. You have some listeners out there who hear this book and they go, "Oh, meat and cheese and eggs. Okay, I'll do that." And then they go and do that, and then they suffer the consequences, and their digestive system hits a brick wall because now they don't have any good fiber in their diet, right? So I think you are doing a good thing. I think you're probably on the right track. I would be hopeful that you don't end up with some digestive cancers if you are consuming a lot of red meat, but that's on you. You figure it out, like time will tell, right? But you have some listeners who aren't as savvy. They're not bodybuilders and they're not as passionate about you. And God forbid they hear about this meat and cheese and egg book and they're like, yes, that's a thing. I want those people to know that don't. Trust me, this is not going to benefit your longevity or your quality of life or the way your systems work.
Well, I appreciate your passion.
Yeah.
You are passionate.
Endless.
I think I'll say this. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of steak. I love steak. I'm a fan of getting in the sunshine. I think vitamin D from the sun is super, super important. I feel good whenever I'm in the sun. I'm a fan of sleep. Man, in my old age, I've learned to love sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The best. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. And I'm a fan of steel, lifting weights. Weights. So the 4S's there, they definitely work for me. But I wanted to have this conversation. I want to be respectful. But, it's good to hear opposing points of view. And it's good to see someone so passionate about what they do as you. So, Fitz, if someone is listening to this, and like you say, they are not a health and fitness guru, and they're just thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm overweight, I'm 30 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight. I need to do something about it. I got to get better at this. What's your advice?
Well, watch what you put in your mouth and don't make any excuses about it. Nobody's shoving food into your face. So go back to kindergarten where they taught you to eat lots of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and drink lots of water and then have a little fun. I think we've beaten nutrition to death, but really what you put in your mouth is very, very important. And then when it comes to fitness, 1% better. That's your goal. Never say, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow if you haven't been running, right? You have to start somewhere. And baby steps are really the secret to long-term success. And when you pursue fitness, you got to do all 4 pillars. You can't just walk and be a fit guy, right? So you got to do cardiorespiratory. That's for your heart and lungs. You got to do strength. That's total body strength, not just your biceps or your butt. And work all the muscles. And that, strength training is becoming more capable of lifting, pressing, pushing, and pulling against resistance. That makes you more powerful, more resilient, and of course, a lot hotter because muscles are sexy. And then there's flexibility, which you could also just, a good synonym for that is mobility. Nobody ever says, hey, gee whiz, my back hurts, or my back is stiff, and means it in a good way. Your joints are meant to move in all sorts of different directions. Your shoulders, your hips should go in big circles. Put them through big circles every day. Focus on stretching. And you can, for me, I stretch my hips every time I let my dogs go potty. I open the back door and I stretch my hips. And if you make stretching part of your everyday routine, you'll start to feel better. You'll start to stand up tall. You'll have more energy. And then the last pillar of fitness is balance training. And balance is essential so you don't fall down. Whether you're 40 or 60 or 80, falling down sucks, and it leads to not only embarrassment, but possibly head trauma and broken hips and early death if you're in the right age group. So balance training is as simple as standing on one foot while you brush your teeth. Get it done, and things in your life will start to improve.
So Fitz,
yeah.
Where do you want to send people to find out more about the incredible movement that is Fitzness?
Yeah, well, hopefully if they come to fitzness.com, that's FITZNESS.com. That's my home base for everything. And you can learn about Fitzness, but most importantly, you can learn about you. There's well over 100 free workout videos. There's the exact formula for weight loss, which will teach you how to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you want to be. And it's free. I've got my Spotify playlist. You can get my podcast there. Everything, my books, they're all at fitzness.com. I'm also at Fitzness on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And, what I ask is if people follow me, I promise quality content in return, but I'd much rather have friends than followers. So please reach out and say, hi, I heard you on Nikki's podcast and I disagree, or I agree, or whatever it is. But yeah, I love actually connecting with people. So Fitzness everywhere.
Fitz, I really like what you just said. You said a lot of cool things, and I appreciate the debate. But the best thing you said, that honestly, I've never heard anybody else say this, and I mean anybody. You said, I'd rather have friends than followers.
Yeah.
I thought that was genius.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to call the episode that. I'd rather have friends than followers. That's a good name for the episode. I got to tell you, Fitz, pretty smart cookie, girl.
I'm working on it. Thank you. That's smart is my favorite compliment, Nikki. That's the one I like best. So
pretty smart cookie. Pretty smart cookie. You're crazy not to like steak, but you're smart cookie.
Hey, listen, this is what you got to know is I do like steak. I was a steakaholic, and funny enough, my nose is not a vegetarian. So whenever I smell it, I can still taste it. So good. So I know it's hard to give up. My nose is like, come on, let's go. And I say, we can't. We're friends with Bessie, but
we're friends with Bessie. Yeah. Well, you got a big heart. You got a bit of a big bleeding heart, but it's a big heart, and that's a good thing. One of the things I say that I love and respect about my woman, because she always says, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting so emotional," whenever she cries, and I look at her and I go, "But you're a woman. You're supposed to be emotional. A good woman is an emotional woman. A good woman is an emotional woman. You're not a man. I wouldn't want you to be unemotional, like my best buddy. I want you emotional. That's how I know I'm with a beautiful, feminine, good woman when she's emotional." So there you go.
Isn't it fascinating how many people are like, I'm not just a girl or what? I like being a woman. I think there's so many wonderful advantages to being a woman. And I'm also a fan of chivalry. And I've taught my children, my son should open the doors. And mind you, I'm chivalrous as well. I open the door for lots of people, and especially anyone older than me and so forth. I'm equally chivalrous. But if I'm with a guy, I don't reach for the door. I let him be the man. And I tell my daughter, if you want to be treated like a lady, you have to act like one. So you can still speak your mind. You can still wear pants. You can still be the breadwinner. But there's something fabulous about being a woman and letting a man be a man. And some of those traditional values are pretty cool.
They're very cool. There's a TV show called Sons of Anarchy that one of the characters was played by Katie Seagal. She used to be Peggy in Married with Children.
Yeah.
Right? And she was having an argument with another strong woman in the show who was an FBI agent. And she looked at her and she said, "Sweetheart, when you get over yourself and you stop strapping on your store-bought male business, right? Maybe you'll wake up and figure out it's a lot of fun being a girl," right?
Yeah, it is.
And then And I just looked at her and I go, yeah, it is. You gals have a lot more fun than we men do. Let's face it. It's just a fact. If you let yourself. And I thought that was great. I'm glad to see that you like being a woman. That's a good thing in this day and age.
And I love men. I love men. Men are the best. Shame on anyone picking on men and masculinity, because I think it's pretty awesome.
God bless your heart. A woman after my own heart. We need more women like you out there. Keep saying that. Keep saying that. You'll help the next generation of women to learn that. So,
will do.
Fitz, we like to end off each episode by asking you, our guest expert, what are your top 3 expert action steps? These are your 3 best pieces of life, business, health advice in bullet point form that you believe will help my listener take their experience on this earth to the next level. What say you?
Okay, so I think they've already heard me beat fitness and nutrition to death. So I'm going to start by saying control what you can. In every single situation, control what you can. Know the difference. If you can't control something, let it go. Let it go. But if you can, your nutrition, your exercise, your work output, whether you show up early, stay late, all of those things, control what you can. You can't control anybody else but yourself. So do that. Number 2, live on perspective. Before I got sick, I ran into a little girl at the grocery store. I was in the 10 items or less checkout lane behind a 83-year-old woman, and she was paying with a check for her 4,000 items, and I was kind of frustrated. I looked over to lane number 2, and there was a little 5-year-old in a Snow White dress with a bald head, and I thought, oh, what that family must be going through. And then I looked at my line, and I felt embarrassed for stewing, and I thought, I will never complain over anything again that is not being a kid with cancer. And so that has prevailed, and that makes every single thing in my life better. Traffic jams are better. Red wine on the carpet is better. The flu is better, because all of that pales to being a kid with cancer. So perspective. And then hunt for joy. I'm a joy addict. I'm very fortunate. I was born with a passion for joy. I will choose to be happy in any situation. However, if that's not you, you can still become a joy addict. Make it a habit. Find a reason to be happy, even when there's red wine on the carpet, even when you're in a traffic jam. So it's not just a perspective, it's the pursuit of joy. And when you do that, everything in your life will become more exciting, more entertaining, and quality. That's the quality part, because what good is living long unless you're living well?
Fitz, I love these expert action steps. They are awesome, straight up awesome. And Fitz, you're all right. You're
all right, Nikki. I like you very much.
Awesome.
I love your smile.
You're pretty awesome. I love your smile too. You're fabulous. So, listener, Fitz Koehler is the real deal. Even though she's crazy and she won't eat steak, God bless her, she's the real deal. She is somebody with a joy for life. She's somebody with a lot of great knowledge. And she's somebody you can learn from. So go to her website, fitzness.com. That's a pretty unique website. Take advantage of what she has to offer. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you learned something, if it touched your heart, do us a favor. Share it with someone else who needs a lift. Because right now, during this time, there's a lot of people that need a lift in life. There's a lot of people who go through days and they're not addicted to joy. They're addicted to feeling terrible, or they may have horrible life circumstances. Give them a lift. Share this episode. Bring a little joy into their lives. And if you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and give us a like, a rating, a review. Honestly, that really helps us. It helps us with the algorithm, which helps get this in front of more people who need to see it. Okay, so please make sure you do that. Thank you so much.
Click like, people. Why not? So easy.
It really
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. And Fitz Koehler, the Fitzness woman herself, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your passion. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with me. I learned a lot. God bless you.
Bye, team.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.